Welcome back to the Charismatic Voice. What's the best way to get your song analyzed on this channel? You only need to narrate the top-selling lit RPG and create over 200 character voices that are so distinguished from each other that I think it's an entire cast, and then reach out to me for a tea time interview. This is exactly what happened with Jeff Hayes after I analyzed his incredible voice acting from Dungeon Crawler Carl. You will be able to see an interview that I did with him just after the premiere of this analysis of his choice. Let's get to it. This is really soft. It's like kind of haunting.
And the bright rays we got in summertime seem like a breath of fresh air back in the summertime, when we were more like brothers, but that was years ago. So if it doesn't seem like a running out of heart today, running out of open road to you, and I know you are remote in any day. Is something broke inside you? At the moment I'm lost and feeling that I don't know if I'm losing you again.
This sounds like such a cry in his voice. It's beautiful. This is so different too. I've heard Blur song 2. Woohoo! It's the woohoo song. And of course that's Damon at a much, much younger age. This is just, gosh, you can feel that there's so many seasons of life packed into this. Wow, I have a lot more I want to say about it, and I want to dig into it. So let's go back to the beginning. There's so much wavering in the pitch choices here, and there's sort of a cyclical feeling at the same time. So you have this in the bass. That's a half step, has a lot of tension in those pitch choices. I think that's another half step that's happening. Tons of half steps. It's this feeling of half step is the smallest musical interval that there is. That's a definitive interval. There are, of course, semitones as well, but that's a totally different thing. Or I should say quarter tones. But in this case, these intervals are very, very close to each other, and they create a ton of tension. It's almost like one pulls at the other. And this is replicated in several places in this opening instrumental part. And they're also trying to figure out how exactly to describe the construction of this and the way it creates almost, it feels like a loop that's going around. I think it's in the pattern of the guitar and the drums. It's so disarmingly sweet and soft and introspective.
and the bright rays we got in summertime seem like a breath of fresh air back in the summertime.
So immediately within his voice, there's this combination of clarity, immediate access, and roughness, which feel like they should be opposites, clarity and roughness, right? Certainly if we're talking about jewelry or like precious stones, like these might be things that are very different, rough cut versus very, very clear, shiny. I think that he has a certain ring in the natural tone of his voice once the pitch really starts going, but he often kind of creaks into it, or like almost gets into it from a vocal fry standpoint. And it's so gentle, yet it feels lucid. Like there are many, many lucid moments. Yeah, it sounds, from the moment he starts singing, I feel like my heart's being broken.
And the bright rays we got in summertime seem like a breath of fresh air back in the summertime.
Lots of fry there.
When we were more like brothers.
Okay, little tiny detail, more like brothers. He actually starts to go a tiny bit sharp. Often when people are starting to sob a little, they actually go a little bit sharp in the sound. Or if they get really nervous, sometimes they'll go a little sharp. And you hear like a certain pleading in that quality.
When we were more like brothers, but that was years ago. So if it doesn't seem like a protocol.
So amazingly touchy, breathy.
Running out of heart today, running out of open road to you, and I know you are remote in any day. Is something broke inside you? At the moment I'm lost and feeling that I don't know if I'm losing you again.
Wow. I was like, yeah, it's just so stunningly beautiful and feels hopeless. Like it's just like watching loss happen. A few things to mention here about his vocal technique. He's going into like a falsetto kind of area, but it's interesting. Sometimes when he comes down, it feels like he's really maintaining this head voice or mixed voice, bringing it down low so that we don't get this yodel feeling as much as a continuity of the tone quality. And to add to that, he's using so little breath pressure. The sound is incredibly easy that he's always barely singing on the edge of phonation. There's this interesting measurement, we'll call it PTP, phonation threshold pressure. So it's the amount of air pressure that's necessary to start the vocal folds creating an oscillation. So the moment that sets them into an actual pitch. And if you need very, very little pressure to do that, then you have low PTP. It's generally a sign of good vocal health to actually have to need a low PTP for a note. And it's also one of the key measurements we take in our research. So very, very important measurement. You can hear that he's creating these sounds with extremely low amounts of breath pressure, even though he's fairly rangy with them. And he's actually also like sometimes just a teensy bit pitchy, but in the way that's really emotional. And a lot of times when people are really trying to lock into a specific pitch, they'll sing a little bit louder and they'll get a little more control. And instead, it feels like he's backing off on things and allowing it to be just a tiny bit out of control in order to bring a little more vulnerability and humanity into the sound.
Running out of open road to you, and I
It's so gentle.
you are remote in any day. Is something broke inside you?
Something broke
At the
inside.
moment I'm lost and feeling that I don't
Ooh.
When we fly tomorrow.
Wow. That was such an interesting little interlude there. So dissonant. It's wow. It's so interesting because in some ways I feel there are many things that I would consider very marketable for commercial music, even. But this moment where we have, it almost feels like this stasis in the music. We're just repeating the same patterns, holding out the same chord, and then this very, it's a cluster of dissonant pitches all together. And they're jagged as well, sharp. They stick out. It almost feels like you've been jabbed by a knife. The song feels like betrayal or just moments of pain, but like someone who's willing to accept that.
When we fly tomorrow over the Java Sea, and my younger man will be there with me.
So this part of his voice could be so much more full. I've heard him sing really full in this aria before as well. And instead he's keeping it really airy. That's going to match the texture of the falsetto that he goes into later. And it keeps that same feeling of vulnerability. I think that the way he's taking elements from falsetto essentially and bringing it down, it creates a very intriguing through line in the story and in his voice.
Will be there with me, 'cause they remind me of swimming out too far one day. Then the coral was gone, but I didn't care anyway. I was running out of hope that day, was running out of open road to you, and I know I was in mode and I was days.
So interesting, I think, that Jeff has requested that this song be analyzed. If you guys know him from Dungeon Crawler Carl, you know that he's an extremely incredible voice actor, narrator. And honestly, it is the best narration I have ever heard. I've looked into a lot of legendary narration too, and it's just, wow, it's out of this world, you guys. There's a reason that there's a lot of hype around it. But I don't want to give spoilers here, but in the most recent book, he sang this very, very difficult song that has some incredible high notes in it. I think it's interesting. When I heard him perform that in the book, I was first like in awe, and I just talked with him about it in the interview. He's like, "Oh yeah, I practiced it a really long time." I was like, "Oh really? How long?" Like 8 hours. For me, that's ridiculous. People practice for months to do a song, for like years to do a song like what he did. He's like, "Yeah, I did it in 8 hours." But the way that he goes into the upper register there, and also the way that the original singer goes into the upper register in this song, again, no spoilers, but it reminds me of how Damon approaches his upper register here. There's a beauty and ease to it. It's just, it's interesting that I think he'd be attracted to this tone quality of voice and then be able to reflect that in his own narration / incredible singing moment.
I was running out of hope that day. Was running out of open road to you, and I know I was in mode and I was days. Is something broke?
I just love this like moment where there's almost a spiral down feeling in the guitar. Also, I love the chord pattern and the structure. It feels like there's sometimes it feels like sometimes we're stuck in that cyclical pattern or something that's a little lost, and then we get to the chorus and somehow there's more clarity in the chord pattern. It follows a chord structure and that just feels like home once we've arrived, essentially. And then it almost feels like there's acceptance, is the way I would put it, that we've arrived at this chorus and there's an acceptance of whatever loss has occurred. I understand this is, I read it was one of the most personal songs that Damon has ever written. And I think it's about him and a band member or an ex-band member, sort of like a breakdown of their friendship. Though a lot of people interpret it to be like about a romantic situation. And who knows, maybe that's actually the correct interpretation. But once we get to this chorus, I have this feeling that there's acceptance of that loss. And there's this tumbling down in the guitar right around here.
You and I know I was in my mood and I was
Wait for it. So it starts as a scale trickling down, and then it kind of meanders a little bit and then goes back down. And it feels like almost like your shoulders are just like finally stopping from being scrunched up by the ears and relaxing down and just letting the acceptance of loss sink in.
Is something broke inside me? At the moment I'm a lost and feeling that I don't know.
Wow.
If I'm losing you again, 'cause I'm running out of heart here, just sitting out the constant doubt in my head, and I don't know what it is. I'm sweating out the toxins, my terracotta heart breaking. I don't know if I'm losing you.
I love the emotion of this song, you guys. This really is catching me off guard. I didn't know that when Jeff asked for this, that it would have this kind of emotional impact. It reminds me of some of the greatest emotional songs I've heard on the channel, specifically Hurt, Johnny Cash. I think that was one of the greatest performances. This is so stunning. It feels like it's this window into his soul of what depression is like in a lot of ways. And of course, that's going to hit me really hard with the experiences I've been through. It also feels like the song is therapy. I believe in therapy so much. It feels like it's therapy of almost, I think at many times in our lives, we often need to revisit a loss until it's gone, or maybe just you need to continue to revisit it and keep letting it go. Sometimes they don't stay let go. I wish things really stayed let go, but sometimes they don't. You need to revisit once you've gotten to a new situation so that you have a different point of view to understand that loss and accept it from. And this song, I feel like I could take this song with me into all of the future years to accept losses that have happened 20 years ago. This is absolutely stunning. I want to go back a little bit. There were a couple lines that really hit hard.
Road to you, day was running out of open road to you.
Running
and I know I was in my mood and I was dazed. Is something broke inside me?
There's something broke inside me.
I'm a lost and feeling that I don't know.
I think it's so interesting how his voice, at the moment I'm lost, and I don't know, sorry, I forgot what the word was in the middle there, but as he's kind of tumbling down, it feels like there's so much hesitancy in the voice, and it almost gets lost as it falls down in the pitches. Beautiful composition.
Is something broke inside?
So I think so many of us ask that.
I'm lost and feeling that I don't know.
The moment I'm lost and feeling like I don't know.
Losing you again.
If I'm losing you again, you can tell that there's essentially repetitive trauma, emotional trauma of this abandonment happening over and over and over, and wondering if maybe it's your fault or the other person's fault, or maybe that's a shared thing, and if it's just something in the relationship that's broken and is always going to go wrong. Oh my gosh.
If I'm losing you again. 'cause I'm running out of heart here, just sitting out the constant doubt in my head, and I don't know what it is.
Oh, this part's really cool where he goes up in the voice. We'll talk about that technique, but I want to point out it's so clear that this is something that was true and lived inside of him. The way he says things like the constant doubt inside his head. You know, in moments like this, that one of the worst places to be is inside your own head, because it is constantly doubtful and feels like a spiral down. I like that this song, though, feels like, despite that darkness, that there is this weird acceptance and release. That's all throughout the composition. It's gorgeous. Okay, let's look at how his voice goes up here now.
Just sitting out the constant doubt in my head, and I don't know what it is. I'm sweating out the toxins.
So I love the way he lets a surge happen as he goes up. He's actually getting to the top end of his falsetto finally. He has a massive upper extension here in his voice. It's incredible. He's so adept. It's almost like he's a countertenor. A lot of people want to put classical boxes around contemporary singers. And that might be calling somebody a soprano or an alto or a countertenor. There are similarities that we have between these classical fox, is what they're called, essentially. A fox is a type of voice. And that was used for determining operatic roles often and helping opera agencies or houses cast singers in similar roles so as not to completely exhaust or do something terrible to their voice. Anyhow, the reason those classifications exist is for classical and opera singing. So when we apply them to contemporary singers, they don't always fit in the mold. However, countertenor here, I'm using it to refer to a male voice who is using this upper part of his registration. So we have a ton of CT involvement, not a ton of TA, much lighter. Some people will call this like mode 2. There's a lot of different arguments about registrations, though. Overall, the way to describe it is he's sitting in this upper region of his voice that tends to have a lot less thickness in the vocal folds. And as he's hanging out there, it also tends to be a little more airy. It needs more air coming through because they don't have as much muscle pushing together on the side. Instead, it's just like this on the vocal folds instead of the whole full contact as the air comes through. And one of the things that can be really interesting about countertenors is when they train, they can expand this region of their voice that they're using this particular mechanism. And sometimes a baritone, a guy who sits normally lower in his speaking voice, will end up having a really, really wide falsetto that can then become a countertenor type of falsetto because they end up expanding and like really using this upper range in an area that they wouldn't normally perhaps speak in. So it's very interesting to me. And I think that when you have someone who practices up here a lot, there can be this incredibly pure, weepy tonality they bring into their sound. And that's what I notice here. Some of the greatest operatic performances I've heard have been by countertenors who access this kind of weeping tone. I think it's so gorgeous.
I'm running out of heart here, just sitting out the constant doubt in my head, and I don't
It's haunting and sticky. And I love the way he retracts back there too. What a beautiful image, a Terracotta Heart.
If I'm losing you, if I'm losing you again.
I love the way he essentially, it feels like he's weeping, he's crying up there. This ooh, it almost feels like a female voice mourning over a child. God. It has like a spiritual element to it. Meaning spiritual singing style, genre. Like kind of bluesy as well. Wow. And so unresolved at the end. This was truly just made my heart weep too. I feel so incredibly full and sad at the same time. And I really want to say thank you to Jeff Hayes for recommending this. If you would like to see the interview we did, that's going to premiere in just a second. And if you're after the lifetime, here's a link to it over here. And I hope for all of you that you will check out Jeff Hayes' narration, listen to some Warbler. He has great suggestions there. And may you fall more in love with music every day.